Yeah, first 2 minutes I want to use to thank the Esports Player Foundation for sponsoring this, for enabling this whole public coaching. This will be available every week on Tuesday, and I will prepare like a presentation on some basics. Today we will go over the basics of team fighting and how to communicate it. So basic communication around team fights, how you want to use the info that you have, like win conditions, and how you want to communicate, like giving directional calls, for example, and how you want to yeah, play the map sort of. Okay, because sometimes what I see a lot is in Prime League we get team fights where there shouldn't be something happening. There's no objective. So yeah. Oops. Okay. So yeah, just like we said before, the goals for today: go over the team fights, go over shot calling, basic shot calling guidelines, and we will start with a team fight example from Fnatic. I think for some people that were here earlier, you saw we already went over it, but let's do it again. Uh, this situation is fairly new. It's from Origin versus Fnatic from last weekend, and first we want to watch the clip, and then after we go over the setup and the whole situation and how Fnatic should play it and what's happening. So, okay, nice. They just had the package as well on Corki. Yeah. Use the Bard ult here. Now we can see Fnatic taking it and winning it. Okay, but we didn't want to go any deeper. Just wanted to look at how they initiated and why they managed to, yeah, be there earlier in the Drake. Oh, for some reason this always bugs when I use hotkeys. Sorry for that. So let's go back again. One. So let's go over the setup first. The win condition that Fnatic has. Yeah. So for one, uh, they have their GP ultimate. So they always want to look for picks. They either look on like a hook from no vision, or when they have vision advantage, like they already have it, or uh, if someone is getting tagged from a Corki bomb, and Reckless can catch him with his W. So they also, if they manage to walk into a zone like this, into a choke, then Bippo can either use his ultimate or barrels, and they will immediately look to teamfight. So the problem here is that when do they want to pull the trigger? So the only way when they can look to pull the trigger is if they're like at least 3 people are walking in here, or if they're close to like walking into a choke. So then you would call to get ready, and SafeMate would look to like stun them or something, and yeah, follow up pretty much. So key situation was that they got side prio after they would get like they got the mid prio earlier. That's why they were in the river earlier here. And now after, they were calling to retreat and looking to get the next mid wave. But in this situation, one of the win conditions were met. So they were all walking up in the choke here. Oh, wait. Like this? I think now it's better. So yeah. So in this situation, one of the win condition was met. So they were walking into the choke. Bippo immediately used his ultimate and got them with a barrel. So that is that is almost Drake guaranteeing to them. And next step now should have been that OP energy, that Origin would just look to push out mid and probably just trade the Drake for a bit of damage on mid lane, because right now they don't have the tools anymore to go for a team fight. So they could look to just send Xerxes to steal it. They push mid, take over top side, get some damage on mid, but they could never look to go for a team fight, I think. So yeah. So the situation was called when Bippo walked into mid, and yeah, he communicated that he has prio. So on his window, I would say. Next example is from EDG. Oh wait, anyone has a question? Because beforehand we could also look at how they communicated a shift. But I mean, right now there was no shift or something like this. So maybe in the next example. I think it was in the next example. Okay, so first, I think it's much more, or it's not so time consuming if we are going over setup first, and then after we will just let it play. Okay, shouldn't Fnatic play for mid pro first? Yeah, they should, but the problem is that, like in this meta right now, it's so dependent on your position. So games are just so much faster, and teams are not worried about like principles anymore. So when they have a position advantage, they usually just pull the trigger and they immediately go for a team fight. I think I don't like this, to be honest, but that's how it is. So here in this situation we got, oh shit. Wait, let me go back. So in this situation, look at the map. So they were calling to shift here from top into bot side. The Drake, I think, was still 2 minutes 30, but they wanted to look for a pick on TF or something. So they were preparing bot side vision. You can see Tian and Crisp doing it at this point. Let me fast forward a bit. Oh, it's happening here. Wait, let me go back. So once once they saw Rumble walking over this pink in the try, they would immediately call that they want to go for a pick on the bot side. Actually, this is from EDG's point of view. So if we go over their win condition, they can play 1-3-1 and they can look for picks with Varus ult and Nautilus ult to follow up, right? And another small win condition is that both Camille and Lee Sin want to flank and want to either kick or one-shot Ashe. So that's their win condition. On the other hand, we have FPX. They want to play into chokes. They have Rumble ult. They have Wukong ult for that. And they can look for a pick with Ashe ult. So one thing that they want to do is looking for plays on side lane whenever they can see like a Rumble or an Ashe. So in this situation, they just immediately pull the trigger, go for a pick on Doinby, got his flash, and then after they just go back to mid. I think it's important to notice that yeah, they still had the Rift Herald, so they wanted to get mid prio with Rift Herald to get bots side vision, I think, because the mid turret will never fall from this. And then after that, I think FPX still had to take or accept top wave. So I think here, like one of the good situations from EDG was to look for a hook into a ult from Varus, and I think this was really well played. But the like one of the how do you call this? One of the problems from FPX is that they can't play into big space like this. So they should not blow any sums or any cooldowns, not sums, and they should just accept the Rift Herald. So they shouldn't be looking to face tank it like this. I think they were a bit over eager here. So yeah. So how do you call this actually? So the whole play would have been called way earlier. I think when they were looking to, like when they were spotting them invading into bot side. You can see that Nautilus is coming from base. So they would just call to retake bot side when they were walking into bot side like this. So they would play it from Camille prio. So they would call next mid prio and retake bot side, just like Nautilus did here. And now, when they saw Rumble on bot and Wukong coming back to top side, and they know that they have TP advantage, they would call to go for the pick to execute their win condition. So yeah, and the rest is fairly simple, I think. Uh, Now we go to a situation that I think some of the guys from the DKB Stipendium already know. This is a flank situation from last split. And yeah, we just want to go over the overall win condition. So this is from the point of view from Febble, and he's playing Kiana. So we can see that he's threatening a flank, and whenever they will go close to a wall, he would look to go for it and engage. Okay. So there were so many things happening at the same time. You can see that Gragas was going over to Yeah, actually, what was Shadow doing here? Did he miss his E? Go over the pit and flash back right into to smite the Drake or something? To the Baron, sorry. So not sure about that one. But I think yeah. I think here this was just a beautiful team fight by the Kiana. But I think the most important thing was in the situation here. They would immediately pull the trigger when they were both here, and they would always have a sweeper ready to make sure that the flank is not marked. So playing against the flank composition or against the win condition with a flank, you would always call to mark the flank, so to mark the Kiana. And for example, if the opponents have a Z or if the opponents have a Nautilus or something, they would always use their ultimates to delay the flank from from the opponents. So in this situation, um, two things. They've like Kiana has the flank here, and then he also has the sweeper. So that is really important. So now we go to the most important part of this whole presentation, and really about communication. So from my experience, there is two systems for communication. One is where you have one leader leading it all and sort of dictating it, and the second one is where like everyone is kind of calling it together, like collectively. But it would usually always look like this, that whenever there's a reset, you would immediately assign a lane. So the lane assignments will be called. Then you will call the next objective. So you will, for example, one guy will call, okay, guys, reset after Drake, reset. Then solo lanes will start talking about the lane assignments, yada yada. The shot caller will call the objective. So we're playing for T1 on top, for example. And then after, when they have time and when they are walking from base, they will just do a spell check. Or sometimes some teams are also doing this even before the reset. It really depends, right? And then next step is that the ADC will call yeah, they will call the mid priority. Yeah, Adrian, I know. I know. So yeah, and when like in the moment when they got mid priority, most teams, and you need to tell them this most of the times, they need to call their win condition. So how do they want to play for team fights? How do they want to execute the team comp in these situations? So and everything that you will do in scrims is just learning when to pull the trigger, like on which windows you want to go for a play. And yeah, all the other things like dive, like the calls to to dive or to dive backline, you know, to turn, to play front to back, first target, and these things, or kite backwards, kite upwards, or something like this, you know. All of these usually players already do also when they do a queue, or when they, yeah, naturally they know it. If they are not knowing this, we like sort of have to go into reviews over one or two team fights and really get down to the basics of team fighting. So let's go over one situation from a team where there was one leader really dictating it. So we will go over the whole communication around Baron and how they managed to play for T1 top. So make sure to turn up the volume. I hope it's like it's not too bad quality. One problem is that Riot audio is always mono, so it will be on one side of the ear. So don't be don't panic or anything. Nothing broke. Yeah. So let's go with it. Wait. Yeah, I think it's from this. Wait. I want to go back. Listen to the comps from Wicked, okay? Listen to how he's. It sounds like he's micromanaging, but this is the job of a shot caller, and this is how important it is if when there's one guy really dominating in voice comms. It's really about being the loudest guy in the room, communicating what has to be done on the map.
When we're sieging, I'll just Q and W them, and it's half their HP. Don't commit onto it. They will just kindred ulti. If we commit, and we'll lose.
Yep.
I'll just.
Mic on.
Okay, wait, there was a problem with the audio, I think. So let me go back. We will start it all over again. Same situation. We will go over the whole communication from, I think, from after Drake. And listen to Wicked, how he's communicating and dominating the voice comms. Sorry for that. I thought it's working already. For some reason on OBS, sometimes the voice is a bit bugged. So sorry for that. So let's go into it again. Listen to the voice comms from Wicked. Listen to how a shot caller is dominating voice comms. Pretty important that you are one of the loudest guys in the room, so to say.
I'm fucking.
We play for this tower next.
I'm getting frozen hard. I'm getting frozen hard.
I'll go bottom, okay? You guys go top.
I can't die almost then.
It's
Their
fine.
bot tower
I'll
is
go
pretty
bot,
low.
you guys go top.
Their bot tower is pretty low.
It's fine. It's better to be top side. It's better for us to be top side. Just play around top side. That's all we need.
Okay, guys, we got this game. Relax, and we got this game. Pinoy, I'll communicate Black Shield as much as I can, okay?
Yeah, I have QSS, so it's.
But right now it's a 12-second cooldown, so I can't
Fine.
guarantee anything.
It's fine. It's fine.
Because I went Q.
Just try your best to.
Just when we're sieging, I'll just Q and W them, and it's half their HP. Don't commit onto it. They will just kindred ulti. If we commit, and we'll lose.
Yep.
I'll just calling and
Mic
force
off.
the Kindred ult.
I'm gonna push these two waves
Wanna
when I go
sweep?
bot.
I'm coming with you to sweep.
Careful, Ku. You're alone right now. Fine. Thank you.
You guys can also bait
Cool,
down, but
cool,
never
try to
start it.
communicate a bit more. Are you okay?
Yes.
Good.
That's right.
They're going to me.
okay,
I can
okay.
flash. I'm fine.
No,
I'm
don't
fine.
flash, don't flash.
Careful, careful.
Can we
I'm
come
fine,
here?
I'm fine.
I don't have
We
black
don't
shield.
need to fight. We don't need to fight. I'm bottom.
Yeah.
Let's TP.
They TP.
Okay, I can TP as well whenever they
I
engage.
can ult them behind. I can ult them
Back
behind.
out. Back out.
Back.
No, no,
Keep
just
running,
go.
keep
Just
running,
go.
keep running.
I stopped his.
They're gonna force Nash. They're
But
gonna
I have
force Nash.
TP, it's fine. We don't care.
I stopped his
fine.
TP. I stopped his TP.
They're low. They're low.
I have ghosts in 3.
We don't need to fight this yet. Just let me push in, then we have advantage.
Wait, we can force down. Wait.
We can even force Nash now, because
Yes,
one of them
wait
has
for
jump
me.
out.
Wait for me.
Can we stop their bases?
Wait, now we're gonna E flash.
They just
They
start
started?
now. Start it. They have to go bottom.
I stopped his base. I stopped his base.
I can
Start
zone.
back.
I
Me
can
and
Lucius
zone.
Lucius started. Me and Lucius started. You guys should show up.
They gave it stop. Back up. They're all there. I'll get bot tower free. Just run.
Get the scutter.
We have free bot tower.
They're going.
Back out.
Just run. Just free tower.
It's fine.
They use Callisto ulti?
Yes.
I'm getting a free tower right now. I'm
Get
getting a
the
free
Kindred.
tower. Just back
No,
up.
don't go for anyone.
Just wait for them.
I'm getting free towers.
Start it again.
Yeah, started.
Start it
I
again.
can zone. I can zone.
No, start it. Come. Yeah.
They're running bot.
We're starting.
They're
Starting.
giving it. They're giving it.
Yeah, they are.
Lulu is here.
They're
They
gonna
gave
give it. They're giving it. They're giving it.
Mic
It's
on.
perfect.
Brom is here. We're fine. We're fine.
I have heal for you.
Yeah, they can't do anything.
Yeah, and that was a pretty much perfect executed Baron example of how to play around side pressure. The same scenario you can do with any other champion. Actually, should do with any other champion like Camille. I think in this scenario they were just really unable to force an engage when they had Braum, Kalista. So I think this was fucking clean. Really well played by old Copenhagen Wolves lineup. Yeah, to mention that this is an example of how it's being called when there's one guy being the leader. Of course, all the other guys are also giving valuable information, like around the TPs or when to look for an opening, when there's something happening, like or Kadrill mentioning priming his shield, for example, or priming a binding. Yeah, because here, like the whole, if you look at the team comms, there's really just two ways of how like red side can play. Either when Gragas is having an engage with Flash E, or when we have a binding hitting someone. Like, there's only pillar binding or Gragas Flash. That's really it. So, yeah, there's really not much to say. I think the whole communication speaks of itself. And, yeah, I would really love to see Wicked getting back into esports and teaching some guys of how to be a true leader. Could really see that happening, to be honest. But anyways, now let's go over a situation where we have the same sort of setup, but we have a more collective approach. So this is from Schalke when they were facing, was it Fnatic?
I have vision here.
Yeah, it was Fnatic in summer 2018 in Madrid. And listen to Amazing, but also listen to the rest, like Venda, for example, giving a lot of valuable input. And they managed to call it all together as a whole team. So yeah.
Now. And the lens?
No, they did. I lens.
Okay. Do we
Okay,
just
we
want-
stop.
do we stop?
Started.
Yeah. Okay.
They're checking now. Can you turn on someone?
I can on
Maybe
Shen.
on Shen,
On
yeah.
Shen only.
GP still bot?
We
Yeah.
should- we
Yeah, you
should
can
turn
go.
down.
Flash ult him.
Go, 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 go. Yeah, ult, ult,
Go,
ult,
go,
ult,
go.
ult. Oh, we go.
I got him.
Oh,
Akali's in us.
Akali.
Nice.
Okay, I will.
Can we do
I
my-
have
Hey,
ulti
guys,
still.
I need help. I need help.
No, you're fine.
Get plant. Get plant,
Yeah,
Varus.
yeah, yeah.
Leave me, leave me.
Scanner.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it's
I'm not
fine.
taking.
Okay, do Nash now.
Do it.
Yeah.
I have smite.
I still have it. I still have it.
Hit
Still
the
a
barrels
beat,
if he
still a
comes.
beat.
So can see it. How do we secure it?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
can also
sure.
turn on him.
We can
if he's
turn
done.
after. I got ulti. Yeah.
Okay.
But let Joe eat it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just go
Get
on Trundle.
barrels, last hit barrels, someone.
Yeah, I go on barrel duty.
1.3k
at
is
Trundle.
my ult.
He QSS
Got it.
already.
Kill him.
Nice.
I go more maybe?
Yeah.
I go push
Okay,
top.
No, I
I go
can't.
push top.
Let's reset for tempo.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't go
Okay,
more.
I
Let's
just
reset.
that
I
as
have
well.
nice wow. Good job.
Bot wave is slow pushing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the whole scenario. Actually, if we go back and nail it down, we look at the comp from Schalke. They have a pick comp. They also have a flank comp with Lissandra. So they would usually play off picks from Varus ult or when Amazing can flash ult someone. They communicated the QSS beforehand, so they knew that Akali has QSS, so they can't go on him. One situation before was that they really have to wait for Trundle to use his QSS. He can't just flash ult him when he has QSS. It doesn't work, right? So I think this whole like the whole plan that they had when they played around the Nash was really good. Then also after when they started Nash again, you could see that Venda was blocking and he was always communicating like that he's blocking Broxah. So yeah, I think that was fairly well played. Actually, did they use the they used the stinger on Trundle, right? I'm not sure. Or am I drunk? No, they used it on Shen, sorry. I mean, here they can really do it earlier, I think. But it was so beautiful how they CC'd Akali. So Akali couldn't do anything. It was pretty good. So yeah, this is the same approach, or the same level of voice comms, I would say, but as a collective. So what is the benefit of having it as a collective rather than having it on one guy? So some of you know that in competitive, imagine. So yeah, I want to go over that. Which style of communication do you think is better? So the problem when you have one guy leading it, let's say you have a game where the guy who is the shot caller or the leader gets really far behind. So they dive him 2 times early, he's 2 levels behind, doesn't have an item, doesn't really benefit or anything from his point of view. Some people don't have the personality to stay in the game and lead and to be active and to voice what has to be done. So in this situation then this whole scheme doesn't work. It will just you will collapse. Your team doesn't know how to play it, and in scrims some of these teams they don't have a co-leader who can get it back up. So sometimes if you're in a situation like this, it makes sense to have a second guy, and then the main leader is just he has the final say. So whenever a team is unsure if they should start a Nash or something, he will just go in and say that they will start it anyways. In the second situation, it's less pressure. So let's say you have you call as a collective. There's less pressure. So it's not on one guy if you're fucking it up, but also less responsibility. So in a situation where you review the whole game, you can't really give someone like the mistake or say like we shouldn't go for this call if there's not one guy calling it. So I usually really like to have it the way that you have one or two guys. It's even better if you have 2 guys calling it, because then you can like improve by calling out that this was a bad call, for example. Or when you review it, you would go back to the situation, you would review it as a team, and the shot caller could learn that in this situation you shouldn't call to go for the objective, for example. Or you should look to threat a flank, or and so on. So it's usually easier when it's not being done as a collective. But yeah, sometimes it's just happening naturally. Imagine a situation like this: you're in an arena playing in front of 20,000. I think every one of us would be really nervous. So naturally, it's happening. Um, so yeah, this should be it for the whole communication part. If there's any questions or something, feel free to ask. After this, I have one extra, and then we are done. So yeah. So both of these situations, I think I have another VOD from Athens, yeah, with Igna. I think this could be really educational as well. I think the best part about this one was where I think it's available on the Schalke Esports channel as well, so go check that out. Like Maurice is calling a lot of good stuff in the early game. So yeah. So if there's not no questions or anything, then I will just go over the next thing. Is there not the bigger chance that there are split calls when you call as a collective? Sometimes it's happening that two guys call for like completely different things, but usually when you're in a collective system, you would also give one guy the lead. So you would say that okay, we're calling it as a team, but if one guy is saying that we should commit for objective, like for Baron, for example, then we should really like just listen to this guy, for example, because we say before that he has the most knowledge or that he is the leader. So yeah, do you think the first approach is still up to date? Wicked was a lot more experienced than the rest of the team in that VOD, right? And coaching wasn't as advanced as it is nowadays. Yeah, I agree. This usually works when you're in a academy team or something like this, where there's one guy who's the veteran and everyone else is just listening to them. Imagine Schalke from spring, where there was, I think, 4 different guys who were rookies, right? Straight after they didn't resign Upset and Igna and the rest, you know. So imagine this situation. So it would look like this from outside perspective, but everyone else is still there and needs to give information. So it's usually one guy who or two guys who are leading the whole team, and the rest are just feeding information. But coaching wasn't as advanced back then. But I can say there was already a lot of like preparation coming into these games. So